Hey everyone, it's Star Spidey 34. I am so glad you all liked episode 28 because that was I cannot wait to do a commentary on that episode and break down every single part of that episode because that episode just everything about it was a challenge, and I think like half the satisfaction I get is all of your response to it. So keep it going, negative, positive, somewhere in between. Don't be afraid to comment. If you have any questions about the episode, just put it in the comment section. I have not been answering a lot of comments because the YouTube layout design is confusing for me, especially considering I haven't been on YouTube as frequently as I used to back in like 2011 and 2010. But, you know, whatever. Let's get to the main point of this video. And this video is all about character deaths. And the thing about character deaths in the show The Amazing Lego Spider-Man, they are very rare. And in that sense, when they are shown, they're special. They mean something, you know? You go, wow, that doesn't happen very often. I'm going to count out the deaths to start with, and I'm going to go into all those deaths. And there's no more than probably 5. The most recent death in the series. Probably my favorite death in the series so far, emphasis on so far, but I'll go more into that later. Let's move on to Anthony Landon. Oh boy, this was a difficult one because I had a lot of reservations about doing the death of a police officer because what if someone watching this has a police officer for a mother or father or brother or sister and they've died recently? They go, hey man, that's not cool. And I know, police officers their purpose is to protect us. And it's not the safest job in the world, obviously. But I do have a lot of respect for police officers. And doing this, I don't hate them at all. So I just wanted to do this to show you how bad the Hobgoblin is. To add police killer on his resume, if you will. And it's one of those things that you have to do something daring early on in the show so it can be referenced back later in the series because it has an impact on the story and on the characters. Very similar to the other death I want to talk about, Frederick Foswell's death. Now in the comic books, I believe, spoiler alert, very early on, he took a bullet for J. Jonah Jameson. And I thought he was a criminal. Maybe there's more to Frederick Foswell than that. But overall, I went with the Ultimate Spider-Man story route. And that is, the Kingpin murders Frederick Foswell, and he frames Spider-Man for it because Spider-Man left his mask in his office. And as I mentioned before, it's great to have something like this early on in the series, a really good base to spring from and reference from to show how it affected the whole world as a whole seasons and episodes later. So that's great story depth, I think. And now we're going to move on to the death of Jeffrey, the Kingpin's limousine driver. Now, Jeffrey has a very interesting story. I wanted to start this inside joke where no matter how hard I tried, I could not build a limousine because they don't make Lego limousines. I'm pretty sure there's probably a video on how to do that, but this was 2-3 years ago, and I don't think that video existed. So, yeah, I couldn't build one for my life. So, for this episode that you're seeing right now, episode 15, Forces Conspiring, I had to build an interior of a limousine, and that's where, when you see the shot of Wilson Fisk, as he's talking to Norman Osborn on the phone, as you'll see right here, he is inside the limousine, and Jeffrey is indeed driving it. And Jeffrey, of course, is a made-up character. I made him up, so you can see how all the made-up characters are dying. And he actually makes a full appearance and actually has a line in episode 18, Two Birds, One Stone, Part 2. And he opens the door for Wilson Fisk and asks him if he's okay. Fast forward to episode 24, Vendetta Part 3, video number 2. The Kingpin walks out of a shopping emporium and he asks Jeffrey to bring the limousine around front. So Jeffrey, being the loyal employee that he is, goes off screen to bring the limousine around. Unfortunately, the Green Goblin blows it up off screen, and all you see of the limousine is one wheel whirling down the street. That wheel was all the effort I could muster up to build a limousine. Okay, how about we have a moment of silence for Jeffrey, the Kingpin's driver. Now I'm going to segue out of that one. Okay, once again, I'll say this. My favorite death in the series so far. As I was writing this, I kind of had a moment where I went, what if I made Ned Leeds the Hobgoblin? And I knew he was the Hobgoblin in the mainstream continuity of Spider-Man. And I thought it would be an interesting twist to put in there, especially for those who are avid fans of Spider-Man and know who Ned Leeds is and knows his motivations. In this show, his motivations are a bit different, and I will not go into those right now. They are important, mind you, but I do not want to spoil anything. There are enough spoilers in this video as it is. And there's a lot of things you can draw from this scene. As hard as Roderick Kingsley tried to avoid death, he ended up causing his own. And the police officers who lost a close friend of theirs because of Roderick Kingsley were ordered to protect him, but they ultimately failed. And Spider-Man ultimately failed. They did all of this to save Roderick Kingsley, a cop killer, a kidnapper, a criminal, and they failed. What is that going to lead up to? Find out in the next episode. But that's really death to me. Bonus death. Spoiler alert, no bonus deaths. I just want to say, sorry about that. I just want to say just one thing, just one more thing. I know these characters are based off, well, some of them. I know some of them are based off of comic book characters. And what are the things that comic book characters consistently do throughout the history of comic books is they die and then they come back to life. They die solely for the purpose of selling more comic books. Well, guess what, kids? When one of your favorite characters dies, they stay dead. They don't come back. And I know I referenced the Clone Saga, but I'm going to do something very interesting with the Clone Saga. Who's really dead, who's really alive. So I don't want to spoil anything, so I'll just move away from that. But I'll tell you this, I'm really excited to do the Clone Saga. That's pretty much my video all about death, and I really hope you guys enjoyed watching or listening to these deaths as I had making these deaths. And I hope you guys look forward to even more character deaths in the future. So that's the end of this video, or the death of this video. I don't know. That's all. See you later.